You are listening to Realign Your Life Podcast, where I discuss with you strategies on how to realign your life and move towards the direction you always want to. I am Vivian, the host of this podcast, and every week I will bring value on how to improve and realign your life either through a guest or my thoughts. I can't wait to share what we have this week. It's time to realign your life. Well, hello there, and welcome back to Realign Your Life Podcast. This is Vivian, the host of the show, and I am so excited and, of course, honored that you are here with me today for this episode. Well, you know, in the last couple of episodes, we have zeroed in with a professional, Dr. Willie Mae Abel, and she's back with us again for this episode. Hello, Dr. Abel, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Great. So, you know, Dr. Abel's expertise is in the arena of hypertension and some of the other chronic diseases that go along with that dreaded silent killer, as she calls it. So Dr. Abel is an associate professor of nursing at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and she also received her bachelor's degree in nursing there. She received her master's of nursing and also her doctorate's degree from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. So Dr. Abel has many, many accolades. She's an author. She's authored various publications that you can research her name and find all of these. And it's mainly all about hypertension. And she has one there that you can research, hypertension in Black women. She is part of many, many nursing organizations, one being Sigma Theta Tau, which is an honorary nursing sorority, and also Mai Sarah in Chi Eta Phi Sorority Incorporated. On our previous podcast, you learned that Dr. Abel was the recipient of an award that allowed her to do research with Black women and how to change, how lifestyle changes can really affect long-term results in having a normal blood pressure. So without any further ado, Dr. Abel has agreed to come back and share with us what's the real number. Because we can know what our blood pressure is, but what's the best way to really know that we really have an accurate blood pressure reading? So, Dr. Abel, thank you for coming back with us and being able to share this very important information. So, speak to our listeners that are out there that is probably a question that they had also. So I'll let you share with them all the information.
The new hypertension guidelines do focus on accurate blood pressure monitoring or measurements and also self-home blood pressure monitoring. It's very important that you get an accurate blood pressure reading, and not only at home, but also in your healthcare provider's office. Very, very important. And the thing to know, if you have high blood pressure monitors are not very expensive. They can range anywhere from $40 to $100. And also some insurances may cover the cost. Very important that you get an approved blood pressure monitor because it's validated and it's insured to have accurate readings. But it's very rare when you go to a healthcare provider's office that they give you an accurate blood pressure reading. And I'm going to tell you some of the reasons why. When you do your blood pressure, it's very important that you do not exercise, drink caffeine, or smoke 30 minutes before the blood pressure reading. Also, you need to make sure your bladder is empty because that can add 10 millimeters of mercury to your blood pressure reading. You need to sit comfortably in a chair with a straight back, and you want to make sure that your back is supported and your feet are flat on the floor and your legs are not crossed. Again, use a validated blood pressure device, and it's recommended that you use an automated blood pressure device as opposed to one where someone listens to your blood pressure with a stethoscope. Make sure also you have the correct cuff size because this can increase the blood pressure. If the cuff is too tight, the blood pressure is going to be too high. If it's too loose, you're going to get a falsely low blood pressure. The cuff needs to be put on your bare arm. How many times have you gone to get a blood pressure at your healthcare provider's office and they put it across your clothes? The thick clothing can add anywhere from 5 to 50 millimeters of mercury increase in your blood pressure. Also, your arm needs to be supported at heart level. Your palm needs to be up, and you need to have your hand needs to be relaxed, and your arm needs to be supported. If it's not supported, this can add another 10 millimeters of mercury to your blood pressure. Again, another thing is you need to sit quietly for at least 5 minutes before your blood pressure is taken. When you go to the doctor's office, they get your weight, they take you back, sit you in a chair, and immediately take your blood pressure. That is a false blood pressure reading. You need to advocate for yourself. I need to sit here quietly for a few minutes before you get my blood pressure reading because I know it's going to be elevated because you haven't allowed me to sit quietly for a few minutes. And ideally, it is 5 minutes. No talking, active listening to anything, quiet, because this can also add about 10 millimeters of mercury to your blood pressure. Now, I hope these tips will help, whether you're taking your blood pressure at home or whether you take it, or your blood pressure is being taken by someone in your doctor's office. Ideally, they should know better. They should go by the blood pressure guidelines, but they're quick, in a hurry, getting you in and out, and don't always do what's right. But advocate for yourself and make sure your blood pressure is taken correctly.
Oh, Dr. Abel, thank you so much for that information. I know you guys out there listening to this, that you are shaking your head because even myself, as a former nurse, I go in the doctor's office and it happens exactly like you're saying, Dr. Abel. They whisk me back there, put that cuff on, and I'm telling you, I've had cuffs that I knew were absolutely too big for my arm. And it seems like they all are trying to take it with that stethoscope. And I know, like you're saying, they're not going to get an accurate reading. So you're saying that we need to be advocates for ourselves. Do you think they'll get upset with us?
I think we can say it politely, not use, you should do this, you should do this, but say, I am uncomfortable with you taking my blood pressure this way because I know if I don't sit quietly, it's going to be elevated. And I would appreciate if you would allow me to do that. But use I statements, how it makes you feel when they do your blood pressure incorrectly. Mm-hmm. Be assertive, in other words.
That's good. This is really good information. And just simple things like not drinking coffee 30 minutes before, because, most of us, well, I can't say most of us, but I know for myself, I got to have that cup of coffee in the morning, first thing. So that coffee and emptying your bladder, because I know that a lot of times I go to the doctor, I've had that coffee, now I got to, water, now I got to go to the bathroom, but they get that blood pressure. And then I go to the bathroom afterwards because I'm thinking they're going to need a urine sample. So, it's just crazy. But I'm so thankful for you to give me and our listening audience this information, because I'm sure people out there, these are, for you, is simple, no-brainer stuff. But for many of us, and for, some of the people that are out there listening, they had no idea about this. Mm-hmm. So it's all about what's the real reading? Because
Absolutely. And it's like I said, it's very important to get an accurate reading because they are basing whether or not your treatment, what it's going to be, whether it's going to be lifestyle changes plus medication based on those readings. And another thing too is before a doctor puts you on medication, they should allow you to monitor your blood pressure at home for a specified period of time, bring those results back to the office and compare them with what they have in the office. A lot of times when you go to the doctor's office, your blood pressure may be elevated just because you're anxious, and it masks, what they should be seeing. They call it what's called white coat syndrome. You see the doctor, it shoots your blood pressure up. So again, before you're placed on the blood pressure medicine, you need to have them allow you to take your blood pressure for a period of time at home. Now, if your blood pressure is up to critical levels, 160 over 100, something has to be done. That's a little different.
Get back there.
That's a little different. That's like an emergency type of situation. But if it's just a little bit over 140 over 90, again, see what you can do outside of the office. Again, lifestyle changes to bring your blood pressure down and monitor your blood pressure over a period of time.
You mentioned blood pressure cuffs and making sure that and blood pressure monitors. You mentioned that, sometimes insurances may pay for it, and make sure that you're getting one that is you said accredited or?
The blood pressure monitor, they usually call them, and it's usually written on the package as well. I'm trying to think what the exact language is. I'll think of it in just a moment. It's not approved, but it's, oh goodness, validated. It would tell you it's a validated blood pressure device.
Okay.
And it would say that on the package of the blood pressure monitor that you're purchasing.
Okay. And so I have seen some blood pressure cuffs that they do on the wrist. Are those good?
No. For the most accurate reading, the blood pressure needs to be done on your arm. And technically, when you first start doing your home blood pressure monitoring, do it on each arm. And if there is greater than a 10 millimeter of mercury difference between each arm, you need to notify your healthcare provider because there could be some things that are happening with your heart. But if it's less than 10 millimeters of mercury, then choose your more dominant arm to do your blood pressure with. No, excuse me, I think it's the left arm that's recommended because that's where your heart's located, left arm.
So the left arm is the recommended arm.
Yeah, and you want to make sure you use that arm all the time, but initially do both arms, making sure there's not a big difference between the two arms. If it's over 10 millimeters of mercury, notify your healthcare provider.
Okay.
If it's not, then choose the left arm that's closest to the heart.
Wow, that I'm telling you, this is information that I'm sure that many of us do not have. And usually when we go into the doctor's office, they'll just ask you which arm you want. So I hear you saying that we really, really do have to be our own advocate. And, just because the doctor says this, or just because there is a healthcare provider in that room with you, that doesn't mean that that person always is doing what is in your best interest.
Let me clarify. Right arm is preferred, not left arm. Right arm is preferred, especially in women.
Okay, great.
Clarify. Okay.
All right. So anything else that you want to share with our audience that we need to walk away with? Give us maybe one or two really great tips or points that we need to leave with. And again, how we can get your information.
Again, if you have high blood pressure, make sure you monitor your blood pressure, especially if you're on medication. And even if you aren't on medication and you're just controlling your blood pressure with lifestyle changes, keep a check on your blood pressure. And the only way to know if your blood pressure is elevated is to take your blood pressure. And again, I recommend if you have high blood pressure, take your blood pressure at least once a day, 2 to 3 readings, 1 minute apart. And again, I can be reached. Contact Vivian. She has my information and she'll be happy to share it with you.
Yes, I will. And then you can also Google Dr. Abel's name, Willie Mae Abel. And I think you said you could also put in Black women and hypertension.
Yes. Some of the articles I have written come up if you would care to read them.
Yes. Well, Dr. Abel, thank you so much for sharing this much, much needed information and helping us to be advocates and how to really do some very important self-care around our bodies as we realign our lives and make our lives a lot more fulfilling and happier, just the way we were created to be. So thank you so much. And for those of you that are out there listening, if you found this information to be helpful and important, please make sure that you share it with someone that you believe or that you think could use this information. So until the next time, take care of yourself. Make sure you're taking your blood pressure, and peace. I hope you enjoyed this episode. The best gift that you could give me is to share this podcast with family and friends. And don't forget to review it. That way, this podcast will grow organically. If you need to reach out to me, please check out my Facebook page, DM me there, or you can email me at godskow@gmail.com. We have upcoming Bible studies that we would love for you to join us in, or if there is a guest or someone that you would like to see me interview on this podcast, please let me know. We are here to work together to realign our lives. Until the next episode, take care, and I look forward to sharing more and more with you as we realign our lives. Peace until next week.